Mandos, this is the way. Hello and welcome to the show. This is Mando's Banter Boxes, episode 7, Heroes. We're talking heroes this week. The other week, I put out an episode of Mando's number 5, talking about heroes, and I dished out my top 5. So I'll do a quick rundown of that, and then we'll start discussing things. So in 5th place, I had Ashoka. In 4th place, I had Luke Skywalker, quite low down the list. We have, in 3rd place, we have Princess Leia Organa. 2nd place, we have Ben Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then in 1st place, I thought was going to be quite surprisingly for everyone, was R2-D2. But nobody seemed surprised. So that's a bit odd. So what do you guys think? Like C3 Barlow, who's your favourite hero character?
My favourite hero would be Ahsoka Tano any day of the week. She falls in the majority of the story arcs that we've come across. Mandalorian, she's through Rebels. You see that she's in New Hope and that lot. She's in the prequels. She's in between. She's got books. She is powerful. She is honest. She's loyal. She has only ever done everything for other people. She's never ever done anything for self-interest.
Yeah, that sounds pretty good. But
that's it.
She's always been a good guy, but she's never pretended she's anything else, and she's always had those high moral standards, and always trying to hold everybody else up to the same standards as well. Like we saw in season 7 of the Clone Wars, where she sort of goes her own way. She comes across those 2 sisters, and she's trying to force that onto them, like with them unwilling to go along with it. But what do you think down there, Ham?
Well, I mean, I'm coming to this from an interesting perspective, having just watched all of the Clone Wars through to season 6 in the last couple of weeks. And she starts off as a really bratty, irritating character. And as soon as you meet her, you think, oh God, not another scrappy do kind of character. And then all of it, over time, she grows on you. She really does. And over a number of seasons, she sort of goes from this sort of wide-eyed zealot Padawan to someone who takes things a bit more circumspect. So, by the end of season 5, I think she's pretty much kicked out of the Jedi Order. Spoiler warnings. And
I've not seen it yet.
Oh, okay. Well, in that case, you didn't hear that. But anyway, so she gets there's some altercations that changes her life's path, and yet she still manages to find a way to work on her terms around being a Force user. So that's really cool. Definitely think she's possibly putting her 5th on the list is a little bit low. I'd probably just nudge her a little bit higher.
Yeah, and you'd go for number 1, would you?
I would, yeah. I absolutely love her. She's the only Jedi that we've ever heard of being able to purify kyber crystals and repurpose them. And she's got her white lightsabers.
Yeah.
There's not another Jedi that's ever had white sabers that we know of.
Have we seen any other Jedi's twin-wielded lightsabers? We've seen the staff, but have we seen
not
do some of that?
I mean, you've seen Kanan. He's dual wielded when he was in the temple fighting the Temple Guardian in Rebels.
Oh, right.
I think Anakin's obviously in the movies. He fought with 2 lightsabers against Dooku, where he used it to.
Yeah. Periodically, Obi-Wan chips in with a couple, especially when he's fighting Grievous in the Clone Wars cartoons. He's been known to grab whatever's around. Sometimes that's a lightsaber. Wow. So it does happen, but not habitually. Not a very few good sides
2 lightsabers
around there. Grievous has 4 lightsabers.
Yeah, but he's not a goodie, is he? So he's not a Jedi.
But he is the king of the lightsaber jewelers.
Well, he's basically
he's 4.
So might not be at the same time, but Ahsoka has had 6 overall.
Oh, right, okay. But I think
What's she using? Two in her hands, two in her feet, two in her mouth. Oh, get you.
one of the most interesting Jedi, because Jedi are pretty boring. Personally, I find Jedi really boring. They don't really do a lot. They're like, I'm going to contemplate. I'm not going to have any relationships with anyone. I'm not going to do this. And it's, that whole Jedi Council basically is sitting around on their backsides doing not a lot, really. Sending
Again, watching Clone Wars.
Ones off to do the interesting stuff.
Again, watching Clone Wars, every episode where there's more than one Jedi in a room, at least one of them's doing this. Exact thing. Usually Obi-Wan, it has to be said. Usually Obi-Wan, yeah. I mean, they don't have to worry about shaving because they've got friction burns all around their face from doing that all day.
That one with a big head, didn't you? He's got a big long head. He's like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and Mace Windu, who's always there stroking his chin, rather than practicing lightsaber battles, which would have helped him further down the line if you thought about it. But anyway.
But you just wanted him to come out and do some sort of mother banter or something like that, don't you? In there. Get him, mother banthers! Boom!
Definitely. Well, but I don't think George Lucas would have gone with that.
Yeah, but he does it in every film except for those. It's like he needed to have his little stamp on that bit where he just does it.
Yeah. Something like, I'm sick of these mother punching droids on this mother punching plane or something like that. That would have worked.
We've never had a director's cut, so you never know. We might see it one day. There could be a recording.
Exactly. There's a lot more to come with Ahsoka because she's getting her own series, and then there's a crossover, isn't there, at the end of that phase of new series that come out. So moving on from Ahsoka, what do people think about Din Djarin not actually being on the list?
Yeah, not surprised. He's a bounty hunter at heart. He's a pretty neutral character that just happened to have tipped on the side of good a couple of times for a decent narrative. Effectively his main contribution to the Star Wars saga is he's basically an intergalactic lost and found department.
He does not like it. He's showing his disapproval.
Yeah, okay. I think I'll live. Oh, hang on.
I mean, a lot of the time he's doing things for the money or because he's been told to. He's been told to take the child back to find his own people or wear the armor. He's just paying his priest pretty much. He's
got no choice, has he? He's dealing with the consequences of his conscience, basically. So, yeah, I mean, all right, and he's fallen in love with Grogu as well at the same time. But yeah, that's why he's not in my top 5 because it's not conscious. I'm going to do good here.
Yeah.
And all the way through, it's all like the choices were very narrow all the way through. Once he went back and saved Grogu from the Imperial dude, I can't remember his name. His choices were limited, and he was set on that path. There was no other way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, which also leads me to the next one. You must be quite aware that Han Solo's not on that list.
Yeah, same reason though. You just said he's in it for the money, not the rebellion. Right up until the point where he's in it for the girl, not for the rebellion. You know what I mean?
Yeah. In A New Hope, he's talking about the money all the way through. We know he's got to pay Jabba off. And then when they reissued, they actually put the Jabba scene in there, and he's like, I'm getting paid for this job. I'm going to come back and give you the money. But, the heroic bit at the end was there was not really any risk involved to Han and Chewie because all the other TIE fighters were gone. It was just doing his 2 escorts in the trench following Luke, and he's like, yeah, gotcha.
Get you on your back.
Turn up late in the battle. I do the one, give you the one shot in a million, and thank you very much. More money and a nice shiny medal that I can eBay.
Genius. That's exactly. I doff my cap to the guy. That's exactly how I roll. The best victory is victory by default. I'm just saying. Yeah,
I mean, even through Empire, he's trying to get away to pay Jabba and escape all the bounty hunters because they're after him. And it's not until he's rescued from Jabba's palace, he actually volunteers to start actually doing things for the good, for the better.
So there's two reasons for that. One is the bailiff's not on his back anymore, so he's got a bit more free time on his hands. Second reason is actually there's this bird over there. She's always come halfway across the galaxy to rescue me, so she's probably well into me. So I better show off and make her interested in me a bit more. So yeah, I think he's got all the motivation in the world to start volunteering for this kind of stuff when it's convenient.
And I think he's burnt all his bridges as a smuggler. I don't think he could take up any jobs for anyone because he's done away with Jabba ultimately, hasn't he?
Definitely too well known now.
Yeah.
So are there any other ones that spring to mind? So when we look, like the other ones that I mentioned were we've got the whole of Splinter Cell, which I thought they were all capable of being on that list, but individually they weren't good enough to be on that list. Do you see what I mean? So
the dream team.
Yeah,
definitely a dream team. Yeah,
and then I also had Chiru Imwe and Baze Malbus, but they're more of a double act. They feed off each other. Very heroic figures, but we don't actually see enough of them to be in a top spot. Like you were saying about Ashoka, she's a big character all the way through Star Wars now.
Mm.
So they're the extra ones. All right, I put down Poe, Finn, and Rey, but they just seem to be lacking in any sort of character.
I personally think that Finn would definitely be an admission in an addition to my top 5, just on the basis that his journey, although it kind of got ruined by the third of the new films, his motivations were much more clear and much more heroic than the other two. Rey spends most of her time running around just trying to work out what she is. Poe spends most of his time just showing off, and Finn sort of like actually just wants to genuinely stop this evil thing rising. So he's the only one with a pure-ish intention, apart from the bit where he tries to run away in an escape pod. But let's just gloss over that for a minute.
He was just trying to get away. He'd had enough, and he's being chased by all them stormtroopers and everything. And
let's not forget, he's just woken up from a coma after being attacked with a guy with a laser sword. So you could probably give him that.
Yeah, but you do raise a good point there with Finn, because did you read the alternate film that we were going to get instead of Rise of Skywalker?
I've been skimming through the comic version, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I posted one on the Mando's Facebook page the other day, a link to it, and Finn has an absolutely stunning role to play in that, where he basically he's the cause of the rebellion on Coruscant against the Empire. So and he turns the whole of the stormtrooper battalion against their own. They're a brute, what are called brute guards, and they're in sort of like phasma armor, and they become the bad guys, and the stormtroopers become the good guys, because Finn has done his part and he's convinced them that what they're doing is wrong and all this. And it's really good read. It's worth.
Sounds like it would have been an amazing scene as well. You could just see all the stormtroopers turn and stand with him. Yeah,
that's it. And it's all based on sort of like loosely based on the French Revolution, how they bring it all round and that.
Yeah. I definitely got a feeling that the third film, I mean, everyone's still, as an action piece, it's quite good, but there's any character development that were in the previous films of that trilogy kind of just got flushed so they could have a big fight with the Emperor.
Yeah.
It's a real shame, because that was it was building up okay. But anyway, I have to say, Ian, there's one group of characters that you haven't mentioned that I definitely think need to be right in the top of your top 5, that you've not even mentioned at all.
Bad Batch?
Huh?
The Bad Batch? Clones?
No. Good gracious, no, they're just clones.
just clones.
Ewoks. These Ewoks, I cannot shout it enough. These are little primitive creatures with bows and slings and arrows and rocks, and they're taking on the might of the Empire without a second thought. All right, they've got some sort of giant golden robot promising them glory. But let's gloss over that and focus on the fact that they were able to take down anything as great as an ATST with basically just sticks. You compare that to the Mandalorian, where a whole troop of people with sticks and guns couldn't take down an ATST without tricking it and tripping it over. They were able to knock out several of them. So I definitely think you are missing a trick there. Those Ewoks, they're dynamite.
We're talking individuals though here, so.
All right, then call it Wicket then, because he gets stuck in.
But the thing with the Ewoks is quite interesting because they actually capture our heroes as well. You know, that assault strike team, the elite strike team, they capture them all. But
so they're ninjas as well, and they can con a Jedi.
Crucially, my number one hero there gets them out of that, and then they go, "Right, it's all right. Throw your guns down." But what can I say? I do agree with you. I think the Ewoks are underplayed, and I think it would have been. You've said that we've discussed this before. That
yes,
it would have been very good if they were all Wookiees. But the problem there is stormtroopers are absolutely shocking, and they needed to. They would, how would stormtroopers defeat Wookiees? It wouldn't happen, would it? Really, you'd need.
So it's all right. We're sending Teddy Ruxpin and friends. That'll sort them out.
Yeah. So I still really love that end thing with all the Ewoks and that and their gliders and. Yeah, it was a little bit light-hearted, but you're dealing with teddy bears being massacred as well at the same time by stormtroopers. It's pretty hard.
Saddest part in all the Star Wars films, there's this cutaway scene where there's this big explosion and there's two teddy bears lying on the floor. One gets up and goes, "Oh," and nudges his mate, "Come on in, let's go." And he's like not moving. He's like, "Nah, come on, mate. Yeah. No, had me in tears. Oh my God, as a young man. That finished me. That finished me.
Oh dear.
Saddest moment in Star Wars, bar none. But anyway.
Right, we haven't got much time left, so let's run through some of the others. So Luke, I've got him as number 4. Would anybody have him any higher than 4?
No, I think he's just a guy who happened to get lucky in the right place at the right time, the right bloodline with a lightsaber. So yeah,
I mean, yeah, don't get me wrong. They break Princess Leia out and escape from the Death Star. But I agree. He was a person of circumstance. Again, he was set on a course. He didn't really have a way out of any of that until they got back to the base on Yavin. He could have gone, right, that's me done. Thank you very much. I'm out of here with Han. But that's the point where he switches straight away. He switches to a hero. And he goes and does his thing.
Definitely think that was about right as well, because don't forget, in the modern trilogy, he kind of turns his back on it all and goes and hides in a temple in the middle of the ocean kind of thing. So, was a hero, fallen hero.
It's shocking though, that was, weren't it?
Well, yeah. What can you do?
But at the end of The Mandalorian season 2, poof, 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 poof. Takes all them robots out. Oh, brilliant. Absolutely awesome. Dark troopers, aren't they? Dark troopers.
Yeah.
He seems to be quite arrogant in that end bit as well, though, when he's talking to the Mandalorian. It's just something about the way he was acting just didn't sit right for me.
Possibly to do with that they couldn't afford all the facial movements they wanted with the CGI they had. So it's like, I'm going to keep a relatively passive face and say loads of stuff. Can you give me the Grogu now and so I can go? That's great.
He is the most powerful Jedi in or Force user, isn't he? At the moment, so is there that arrogance? Then I'm the best. Look what I've just done here. I'm not gonna
save the universe a couple of times.
So give me the kid and I'm out of here, sort of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, 2 times Guardian of the Galaxy, you're welcome, kind of thing.
Exactly. So moving on to Leia then. So we've not got much time left. We'll move on to Leia quickly. Now she starts off, I think, amazingly well in the first film, A New Hope. Probably the most heroic person in the actual film itself, standing up to Darth Vader, giving him some oomph in that first act there, and then stands up to torture. Under torture, she's not going to give the moon away. or the rebel base away, and then, you know, it's only the fact that Tarkin's going to destroy her planet that she actually cracks, you know. So she stands up pretty well, and then, you know, in the escape from the Death Star, she's the one that takes the bull by the horns and goes, right, this is how we're escaping. You guys don't know what you're doing. This is what we're doing now. And that's just really, really gutsy. And we don't see her really do a lot in Empire, but in Jedi, like Ham pointed out to me the other day, she does quite a bit at the beginning of Jedi with threatening Jabba with the thermal detonator, and then you know, obviously strangling Jabba himself, who's cast her into slavery. So she's really gutsy in them first 3 films, but I don't know what you guys thought of her in the last 3 films.
She's still pretty gutsy.
She comes from a place of privilege as well, so she doesn't have to do any of this. She could have a very comfortable life if she wants to, but she wants to do the right thing for her people, for the galaxy as a whole. You know, she's doing it from a young age as well. During Rebels, she would have been 16, and she's giving away her ships.
Yeah.
You know, and she's, again, as you said, she's orchestrating all of it. She's got the plan. This is how you're going to do it.
Yeah. Like I say, she doesn't have to do it. But there we go. I've got to end it there because that's it. We've got less than a minute left on the runtime. But Kenobi does loads in Clone Wars and all through everything, and as a Force ghost. And then R2D2. If you watch my video, you'll see why I think he is awesome. But there we go. I've got to leave you there. Thank you very much for watching, and this is the way.
Mandos, the